tearing apart pretty much every single region of the DPC, right? We all know what the hero does, we all know what the hero wants to do, and we all know that the hero does not want to build a BKB, right? You can very much exploit that.
Yeah, and one way to exploit is potentially snowballing Void Spirit, which honestly, for me, it's always like double-edged sword, right? If you get coiled as Void Spirit, you're probably just gonna die in a team fight. But if you can get on top of the puck, then you just kill him. And it's always like a little bit of a weird answer. You kind of win the lane, but then you feel like uncomfortable for a little while until you get your first item. Then you feel strong against puck again. So that matchup is very, very skill dependent. And obviously BZM, he's very, very good, but playing against the one king.
He is. The king back to mid, and the king's going to have to make a lot of space here because they're going to pick some Wisp partner here. Not quite famous for their ability to show up and fight earlier. Generally, you want the Wisp to flash farm an item or two, speed up the timings, and then start showing up to fight. So it's crucial here that the king actually delivers and makes space to ensure that they're not pressured too early on. It never feels really great playing a Wisp draft and having to use relocate level 1 to try and 3.5 second delay on.
At the end of the day, though, we have to consider they're both mid laners, and we know what that says about their ego. So whenever you ask him, it's like, what do you think is better, Void Spirit or Puck? They always ask, what am I playing? So we'll see. Maybe BZM just thinks he's going to be the better laner.
Best zoomer mid?
Yeah, best zoomer mid. I don't know if that's true, but that's what we were told his name's supposed to stand for.
I think he told us that. I think it was a tweet.
It was a Creepwave manager that told us that when he was playing on Creepwave.
Yeah. I remember we tweeted at him and was like, what does BZM stand for? Best zoomer mid.
Yeah. Well, he's certainly one of the best mids out there. He's definitely the best zoomer mid right now. And we'll see if he can beat the puck. Void Spirit as well, good not just for the puck, but also for the IO, right? An easy hero to catch, easy hero to kill. Is that going to be able to stop the GH IO though, Block?
I mean, it really depends on how good of a game he has. Like, I even want to see his itemization, because like some Void Spirits like to really go into the Yule Scepter against puck to have this easy setup. So maybe if he gets that, it's also really good against the IO. But I'm just a little bit worried for the IO because you have a Timbersaw you're playing against. If he gets on top of you get absolutely shredded. And yeah, if they don't pick like a hero that can actually save the IO, he might be in trouble himself.
Yeah, for now they've banned out only a couple of the traditional Wisp laning partners. Luna being the big one, right? Gyro, I almost say like nigh unpickable, but with a Wisp to enable him into a Timber lane, that doesn't sound too impossible. Am I wrong? Like, that's what I always say. You got to pick a Gyro into a good matchup with a Wisp. Here we go. Here it is. I mean, maybe OG have got a plan for it. Maybe they think it's really weak, but either way, they're going to ban out the AM and the Ursa.
Monkey King's still in the pool, though. I don't want to try that.
Yeah. Miracle also loves to play as Monkey King. Yeah. And we briefly touched on that. And, like, you won't really be able to kill the Monkey King or harass him out of lane anymore, but like, I don't think that Amar's gonna get too pressured by it either. Like, he knows how to play against it. Again, he has so many games on his Timbersaw. You can counter him, he will find a way to play around it.
Yeah, I mean, when you just firstly blind pick the Timbersaw in all of your games, you're bound to play into some difficult matchups. But it's how you learn. How you learn. If you only pick Timbersaw last and you always make sure it's a good Timbersaw game, I mean, you're not going to really end up having to face any hardship and how to fight through it and what to do and when to put more points in the Timber Chain, when you can put a point into Whirling Death. It's a pretty big aspect of the hero. He's not just a free win. Amar makes it look easy. It is not. You try buying the Abyssal Blade on that hero and see how easy it is.
Or Manta style.
Or a Satanic. Or...
they picked up a Nyx here on the Nigma, so...
Yeah.
I'm checking. Dawnbreaker is not bad, so also simple preemptive pick, making sure that could be a carry or even 5 Dawnbreaker, but... what's the value of the Nyx aside? He's good against Void Spirit?
Against Void Spirit, he's very good against Timber to intercept the chain. Yeah. Also mid-late game mana burns are amazing. And straight off, we always see like the Hex answer to Nyx, right? You Hex him before he gets the Carapace out, you burst him down.
And against Puck too?
Against Puck too, yeah. It's always the Shaman or the Lion. And they choose to go for the Lion over the Shaman. Personally, I like Shaman a lot more than Lion. I feel like Lion is like a discount Shaman.
Yeah, Secret kind of showed us how good it could be as well, especially for the Serpent Wards. I think Serpent Wards did the majority of the pushing. Right. And right now, that is a little bit of an issue here for OG's lineup as far as the pushing power, right? Timber, yeah, he can frontline. He does it anyway. He can get the flamethrower, and that's something. It ain't bad, but whereas the Lion still brings you the Hex, Shaman also has one. And the Roche potential, still very much a real thing.
My question for you guys is, where does the damage come from? They have no damage. Nyx, Io, Puck, like this Timber Surf against one hood, nothing.
That's true. Now that's what they need to draft, and that's their damage.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay.
That's the ultimate.
Wait, so is that like
It is. And yeah, the Vendetta is
Carry
instant pure damage as well, right? So no longer going to be reduced by all that armor that Timbersaw has, even if he's max stack. So I mean, not impossible. You're right. Before the Lesh, they needed something specifically bespoke for the Timbersaw pick.
Yeah.
Here it is. It's also going to effectively deny pick a lot of the illusion heroes that would otherwise, have been pretty decent against like the single target of a Nyx.
So I just want to question. I want to go back to a point, Black. You were saying, what do you think, carry or offlane? Like,
It's
Or is it offlane
could be
Puck,
offlane
perhaps?
Puck potentially. I know Mind Control plays that, but I also know that Miracle loves his Leshrac. But I also know that Sume loves his Leshrac.
Yes,
So
yeah, he does.
who's gonna get it? Honestly, carry Lesh, we have seen it many times. It can work, but you have to play for that snowballing, which can work with a Puck. And maybe he will play like a more off-lane carry kind of ish hero.
Even in the mid lane, honestly, with the changes to Bloodstone and 31D E we're in.
Yeah.
The most recent patch, the Bloodstone.
the please use this item buff.
Yes, the please use this item buff. It's been getting nudge and change, and now it gives you an incredible amount of spell lifesteal.
Yeah.
You buff that now with the Wisp on his shard as well, which also buffs your spell amplification, therefore giving more. I mean, we've seen this before, right?
It's true. You loves this.
Yeah, they love this. Arkosh Gaming, I can't believe I'm invoking that name on this channel. Also really love to run this. I mean,
that's not a good sign.
It's not a terrible idea though.
It is radiant.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you go for the Eternal Shroud as well, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You get the
Yep.
amplification. And this might be a game where you can get away with with no BKB, just because you have the Io to protect you and you have the lockdown coming from the Nyx and Puck.
Yeah. OG need to solve this with some physical damage now, right?
Yeah. But a lot of physical damage heroes are already banned or are not great against Leshrac plus Io. Like you can pick a Terrorblade who can shred a Leshrac, but vice versa, the Lesh can also just run you over.
Right. Is there any carry you can think that's solid here, doesn't risk too much? Or do you think OG could play it risky? Because they have been playing risky. And Arc Warden shows they're not afraid to try it out. So maybe it could be a Terrorblade game?
Could be. I also thought about the Bristleback potentially, but you have the Nyx already, which is super annoying. Like, Nyx covers a lot of Leshrac's weaknesses, honestly. It really does.
I don't want for this pesky Nyx test. Perhaps the Arc Warden might have been another option. I mean, the double does die quite easily. I mean, hunts him real well, but they picked it. I mean, that's a hero nobody is. So.
Yeah, I mean, Arc Warden technically can deal with the Nyx. The only problem is the amount of mental power you have to expend, because you have to essentially set up the Spike Carpus yourself, then have your clone with some sort of save, force step yourself because you're looking in the right direction. Like, it's not an easy thing.
Oh no, it's certainly not. But I have a feeling that's like kind of what the Arc Wardens really thrive on. Picking the Arc Warden when he's not meta into these quite difficult matchups when Ice Frog has nerfed him for 2 years steady now for some reason, just to spite him. I don't know. I kind of doubt it, but just because it's OG, I'll put it out there.
Okay, yeah. I mean, they haven't just picking Arc Warden never. He is fantastic against Leshrac, though, I will say. The current iteration.
Yeah.
Lesh is he's mobile, right? But he runs at you. You spark rates all around. He doesn't run at you anymore.
Yeah. And also the shard is not bad against Lesh, right? You can just kind of pop him out.
That's true. It's
away.
very annoying. Also gives you magic resist, actually. So
40% even.
it's wild.
They banned Slaughter and DP though. That could mean that they wanted to pick something like a Bristleback, or they just banned it because it's super strong, the Io.
Lone Druid.
Okay.
I like that quite a bit. Yeah, there's some damage issues for Nigma now, aren't there?
Yeah.
Chewing through this bear, especially when Lone Druid gets off true form, it'll be even difficult to take him down.
You know what destroys Lone Druid though? Like
that?
the axe of Leshrac, the Nihilism. Both heroes turn into like that's like the new up-and-coming pub build right now, where they just build like this axe and Bloodstone, Eternal Shroud, run in.
I feel like it ain't that good because, I mean, it's good. Don't get me wrong. That's very, very good. We don't see that axe so much. I really want it to be good. I'm in the same boat as you. But the Savage Roar just seems like something right. You're not going to be silenced once the Puck's on top of you, and then Lesh gets out of the AoE, and then Bear is free to do again. Just like...
Well, we can still pick a carry here that solves this issue, right?
Yeah, certainly.
Oh, it's going to be an offlane that solves this issue.
Okay.
So they have flexed then this Lesh.
I mean, I don't know if it's flexing. It was always weird.
Yeah.
I think it's carry Lesh.
I think it's going to be carry Lesh in the mid Puck. So they're playing all for tempo. Which honestly is not the worst idea because they're not really on a timer, right? They're playing against the Lone Druid who, yes, he will have a lot of damage in like the mid game, but if you survive their timing, I should believe Nigma's late game is a little bit stronger even.
Yeah, because the team fight's looking a bit better, and they also have this classic combo of Nick's Darkseer, right? Vacuum into Impale, always works.
Oh yeah, actually, yeah, that's real good. You know, he's not maybe as best suited as, say, the Clockwork in terms of actually utilizing Ion Shell in the laning stage, but that is a much better combo into the late game.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm wondering then, seeing these two drafts, Black, any prediction?
I like Nigma's draft a lot. Like, even though OG's draft looks very smart, very finesse, you know, like, I don't know if they can withstand the overrunning power.
Yeah, that's kind of my concern as well. But, you know, I've seen worse games for this Timbersaw here for Amar, and yet he always prevails. So I'm going to go with OG in game.
All right. Well, we're going to have to see what our casters have to say. I think one of our casters might be pretty happy with being able to cast this game. So let's get to them and see what they have to say for this first game between OG and Nigma.
Thank you very much, Avo. Yeah, I'm joined here by Seb. We're doing the OG series. I feel like I don't even need to ask you your prediction.
Obviously, you're rooting for OG here.
Yeah, but if there were no names on the draft, who are you picking?
I think I would still go for OG. I think the Nigma draft is very funky. I'm very excited to see how it's going to unfold, but maybe a little bit too easy biased.
Right.
I'm trying to not be biased.
You definitely called the Timber pick while we were waiting for the delays to get passed by, and when you can kind of predict it yourself, I would assume that maybe Nigma can as well. Do you think they drafted well enough to handle what Amar can do with this hero? Like they were saying on the panel, it's like you can shut him down, but it feels like he always powers himself up, and shutting him down isn't exactly shutting him down.
I mean, I would say so in the sense that, you know, they have like heroes that are notoriously good against Timber, and the Nyx obviously to, you know, bring their control, and then they have this like immense amount of magic damage. Leshrac, Darkseer, Puck, Nyx, even the IO overcharge. To be fair, I don't think we've seen enough IO Lesh. It's a very, very potent combo, and maybe even busted if it's, you know, pushed to the limits. And I can't think of a better duo than Miracle and GH to kind of do that.
Yeah.
They're so used to playing, you know, IO combos together. We'll see. Is it strong enough to kind of cut through a Timber with a hood? I'm actually not sure.
I'm wondering if maybe they use that IO Lash, cut down these buildings, cut down OG's map, like try to just choke him out and restrain what seems to be the never-ending farm that OG gets.
Yeah.
Thankfully, no Arc Warden in this game, but you know, there is a lot of heroes here that can take advantage of the farm, and I'm wondering about this Lone Druid because, like, we don't see it that much. Or at least from what I've seen in the Chinese region, this hero gets played twice, maybe. Completely different elsewhere, I would assume, but was that the final pick you were expecting? Is that something that, like, even if it wasn't to your expectations, something you agree with?
Yeah, I think it's a very good pick, actually, this game. I think it's a brilliant pick. They kind of lack damage. I mean, of course, they have damage, but, you know, they have to get through the bear. Even the hero himself is quite tanky. I think Savage Roar is also very strong against these heroes, especially versus tether targets. It's going to break tether. It's going to bring the physical damage that you kind of need. You know, when you have Timber, you're going to go for objectives and kind of force them to fight into the Timber when they don't want to, because Lone Druid's going to be taking the towers if you don't so. I think it's a good pick, and I'm quite surprised at seeing the Darkseer pick into the Lone Druid. Usually it's a bit of a tough lane, because then you just get bullied out of the lane with Darkseer, and you don't really have a go if the Lone Druid player decides to ever skill the Savage Roar. Then, you know, your go with the shells, that takes a lot of resources, a lot of mana, you just get roared away, and it feels kind of bad. So, good pick, in my opinion. I think we're going to see Nigma play really fast-paced. You know, I look at this lineup, and I see, you know, the IO Lash running around, having the Nyx and the Puck, looking for pickoffs constantly, relocating ready. And then Darkseer fits in really well, because he's going to be, you know, safely shoving the waves in with the Ion Shells on the creep waves. So that gives you info, right? Because you get the waves pushed into your face by the Puck and the Darkseer, and you have this Nyx kind of lurking. It's a bit scary because you kind of want to group up, right? Or you're going to get picked off.
Right, so hitting that timing on the 6, seeing what the Darkseer could do. Do you change the build for the Darkseer? Like, you're saying that maybe the Darkseer kind of gets a little bit countered here. We've seen Ags a lot on these Darkseers. That obviously gives a little bit of health when you're putting those Ion Shells out there. It's something that Secret was doing, and they have like this ultimate healing draft under wraps right now. Like, does Darkseer change to more utility? Is he staying away from that Ags, or is that still standard? Some point needs to be in the...
I mean, Axe is good for sure. I mean, if you think about Nigma's lineup, I see a lineup that's really gonna run at you, right? You're gonna have the Leshrac running in, tethered, Darkseer surging himself in, the Puck also in your face. So the Axe adds on top of that, you know, tankiness for the whole team, several iron shells going on, that also helps. You know, to me, it's all going to come down to, do they have enough damage to take down these really tanky cores of OG in the Timber, with the Hood most likely, and the Lone Trade? I think he could even consider buying a Vessel. I know it's a little bit crazy, but Darkseer players do like going for Urn as an, you know, like a casual item. The build-up is very nice for the lane. And then Vessel would be the item that would make sure that cores such as Lone Druid or Timber or Ench that are really based on the healing mechanism is just completely countered. And then for sure you're going to be able to cut through them. So, I mean, he has a lot of options to go for. I think Darkseer is one of these heroes where you can buy literally any item almost in the game and make it look good. So, obviously Mind Control, one of the better Darkseer players out there. So, he has a lot of experience, and I'm sure he'll make the hero look very good.
Sure, and then well as Amar on the Timber. And it seems like a lot of times when he plays the Timber, he's kind of like that main guy. He's getting a lot of the farm. He's sitting top of the net worth. I almost hate to ask this question. Does he tone it back a little bit this game? Does he give up some of that farm towards the rest of his team? Because he finds it somewhere. I don't know. Sometimes he isn't even stealing it from his teammates. He's stealing it just like from everybody else. Nick was not getting it, or whoever you're playing at the time. It's like somehow he manages to stay top of the net worth. It's start watching a lot of those replays and just seeing how he's moving around the map. And
that sounds a lot like an Amar Timber, what you just described. And I think if anybody's gonna have a say about it, it's got to be Nigma. You know, they are the one that try to stop him. Whether they can or not is yet to be seen. You know, it's a lot about this IO Lesh and how well they're able to execute the lane. Lesh versus Timber is all about who gets level 6 first. Because if Lesh does get level 6 before the Timber, it might get really hard for Timber to even stay in the lane. If it's the other way around, then he might kick Lesh away from the lane. So I'm looking at what Taiga is going to also decide to do and how much he's going to be able to prioritize XP.
Yeah, so we'll see how these lanes are going once we eventually get to them. We've still got a little bit to go. Doesn't really look like, at least for the moment, that OG are going to wrap or go for something pre-minute 1, but Nigma's up here just in case. And they've got a pretty solid level 1 kill lineup just to make sure. And I think, at least from the looks of it and the way that they've set up, OG are kind of aware of that.
30 seconds.
They know that these stuns exist. They know that the damage is there.
And yeah, he's seen right now, but the ward did scout him, so we have, like, OG has perfect what might be happening, and definitely they don't want to run into that. Like, as you said, you know, whoever runs there just dies.
And they actually do something interesting with Misha and Taiga. They go all the way the opposite way around. So they're kind of, OG's also kind of finding their way. Maybe it's like, oh, well, you know, Nigma, they didn't get what they wanted. They come back towards their side of the map, and we just catch them, which is kind of what they've done here with Mind Control. See if they can get this kill on the Darkseer. BZM nearby with an Aether Remnant. As long as he lands that, it's first blood secured, and that's exactly what it is. So not only did they read the lineup for that first little potential kill that comes from that lineup from Nigma, but they even countered it, and they did it perfectly.
And he even gets the D-ward, because, you know, Patience, we placed the ward first, and we saw them run in, and now Taiga just placed the sentry. He might die for it, maybe? No, very nice stun. He's gonna get away. And we also got the mid-ward, which is a big deal, very big deal. This Lion is very, very rich, you know. First blood plus the ward, like, he's already rocking the boots, so living the life.
Yeah, that's one of the things you and Black were talking about. I was spectating this conversation and learning a lot. When you buy boots that early, you gotta have that mindset of, okay, now I've got boots. I can't just run up and because I'm faster and die. You've got to use it. And what's the way that maybe you see Taiga getting that done?
I mean, Taiga's job right now in this game is to make sure they don't shut down Amar, and at the same time leave him as much XP as he can. It's really the XP race between the Leshrac and the Timber. The Leshrac whose weakness that he has a Wisp that is not as good as a Lion to, of course, gonna leave the lane, right? Wisp is designed so that he tethers his partner and stays with him. So they're gonna try to force Taiga to, they should try to force Taiga to show, oh, he might actually be dead here. Really good stun from Miracle.
Landed right on the edge, and Taiga getting down to 1 shot left, and GH gets that kill. Amar actually took a little bit of damage too on the beginning of that, and if he had gotten hit by that stun, his life might have been in a little bit more danger than it is already. Courier was close, so I'll start to, I think it did deliver his boots over, so it's not like it's in that weird little no man's land. And then we're taking a look up top here and over mid, like, do either of these matchups, the top and the mid, really stand out at you as something that can be a lot of kills?
I think the mid matchup that we're looking at right now, like the Void Spirit versus Buck, it's a very high skill matchup, and I've seen it go both ways. So it seemed very even right now if you look at the last hit, so far so good. As top, yeah, this Nyx seems to be in big trouble.
Oh yeah, Kuroki getting slowed down thanks to the help of Misha, but a two-man stun and that impale might be enough to just walk on away.
Very nice.
Misha doesn't have the impetus.
Very nice casting from Kuro. I mean, this was a tough one to get off, but he did very nicely. No entangle, obviously, that comes into play, but yeah, he's gonna live.
So good. Able to get away. We've seen Impale and Earth Spike just multiple heroes every time. Like, these guys are ready with it, and we don't really see Lion too much. He seems to be one of those supports that have kind of fallen out of favor for other ones, but like, if you're OG, what's bringing you that mindset? Like, hey, I can put Lion back into this lineup and make it show its value.
He can be a bit of a weak laner, but when you lane with Timber, you have more freedom to pick the hero that you want, so that's one argument. And also, they saw Puck pretty early. Lion, obviously, you know, a hero that Puck has to really worry about. So does Nyx. Obviously, Carapace is a very hard, you know, spell to work around, but Hex is the best answer, because then you just Hex Carapace and you can wait out for the stun. So yeah, Nyx and Puck, you take the time.
Stun out. Out through on a Miracle, but now Taiga needs to run.
He'll probably die here.
He's got the Hex, but he doesn't have the life, and Miracle gets a kill over in the bottom lane, so he's 1-0-1, this Lion dying a couple times. Obviously, sucks to give away those kills, but he also got that first blood, he got the D-ward, the gold. It's going to stay at where he should be in terms of net worth. The question is, can he kind of keep his life? And at what point does Lion kind of like think, okay, Amar's here, can he sustain by himself? Can I move around the map? Can I go mid, maybe top? Try and find some kills with the rest of them.
Ideally, it would be the level 5 on Timber. I think before level 5 it's a bit hard for him to fully sustain, and Lion's going to keep looking at it. He could decide to leave now, but if he does, he might, like, I mean, now the lane is in a position where he can, but if he leaves too early, I mean, yeah, we see the rune control. Probably Lion's going to want to join that. We already see, you know, bots are quite busy. You have the Lion on the bottom rune, and you know, these matchups, Bug versus Voidspin, it's all about the region. It's all about the water runes, about the power runes, so you're going to see a lot of action around the river. You see the pressure, right? It's still a bit early for Timber to be left alone.
Yeah, and they go for the stun actually over mid. Sumail had been hit by an Aether Remnant just a moment ago, and they're diving the tower. They want Amar. They won't land the stun. He's got that wand. He heals up a little bit, whirling death. We'll see if he survives this, or if anybody comes over bottom to try and help him out. He gets into the trees. Miracle and GH are on his tail. He's just timber chaining across the lane back and forth. Well, kind of playing him a little bit.
Yeah, this is an insane amount of pressure, and you don't want to trade too much with this IO, you know, pairings, because they don't use anything for that, right? I mean, you know, the Lion, he's gonna have to bring tangos, he's gonna have to bring mangoes. This IO Lesh is just gonna keep sustaining, so you don't want to get made in trading too much with them, right? You just Amar right now, all he wants is level 5. When level 5 happens, it's gonna get better for him. And you know, Lesh is still a little bit under level. Amar is close to level 5, Lesh is level 4, and it's all about this level 6 timing. I can't emphasize how much it's important. So, but yeah, you see, like, Taiga is kind of forced to be here because they're putting up, you know, so much pressure on this, which is, they're playing this really smart.
Yeah, especially, I mean, saying level 6 is very important. The way to make it sure that they can win that, push Amar out of the lane. Make sure he's uncomfortable. Okay, they're going to TP at +1, so BZM coming bottom, he's level 6. If they can catch somebody...
It looks like it's been spotted, right? And this rotation hurts the Void Spirit a lot. His bottle is empty, so the second rune is going to be super important. He has no boots. He's really sad right now. Like, this hurts your game a lot. Hopefully he gets a rune and then it's going to make up for it a little bit. But yeah, this also frees up the Puck for his own rotation now. They know that Void Spirit has no TP.
Right.
So
he can't react.
Exactly. Let's see, you know, 6-minute rune coming up. We already see, you know, Misha going for the top rune, Taiga on the bottom rune. The Nigma supports are a bit late to the party, so maybe we get... Okay, Void Spirit does get the...
No, he denied it, yeah. Sumail just got the right click in.
Very well done. 1v3 rune deny, you know, so that's like big impact.
Making sure that you kind of keep that advantage on the lane, and Sumail definitely showing some prowess here over mid. They drop down the Dream Coil, they've got the Impale coming out from Kuroki. But the Aether Remnant lands on Sumail might give BZM a chance to use that jump and get out, and that's exactly what it does. So under that pressure, doesn't panic, just jumps away, doesn't get even more of an advantage. Like you were saying, some of it felt like that bit of an advantage coming over mid, and GH kind of getting pushed away, but like you said, for the IO, it doesn't really mean all too much.
And you see this Darcy, right? He's not having fun. He's level 4, he's really under level. Laundry is level 6. And on bottom, the Timber is level 6 before the left track, so, you know, good job from Taiga sharing XP properly. And then the pressure, you see it right away, it starts. Yeah, left track was level 6 here, it's a double kill, you know? So now there's going to be a lot of pressure going OG's way for a little bit until the Leshrac gets level 6, and then it's just going to start being relief. Laundry though, he's having like a perfect game.
40 and 20, I was going to mention it, but it feels like we were talking around the map. They're still putting the pressure on Miracle. He's got to be a little bit careful with the Marcus committing to this one, the rolling death, and again, Taiga trying to follow it up, trying to find something. Instead, they'll focus their attention onto GH with GTM coming over from the side, so he gets Miracle. Kuroki comes in with an impale. It'll end up being a 1-for-1 trade, but do they get anything more out of this one? GH under the tower, but it's not home base. That's not safe. So BZM, he'll get the double kill, and they take out GH.
Very nice position from BZM. Sumail unfortunately had no TP, it just got delivered to him, so he could not react to the dive. And yeah, I mean, big, you know, again, the Leshrac is still not level 6, so his game has been really crippled. Yeah. And this is all about XP split. You know, it's this details at high-level Dota that can really turn the lane completely.
Each actually goes to fill up the bottom of Sumail. I was going to ask, because BZM's now made 2 rotations off the mid lane, but Sumail doesn't feel comfortable enough to do it himself, right? Like, is that because the side lanes aren't going as well? Like you said, Darkseer's on level 4, Leshrac never hit level 6. Do you not just feel the opportunity to try and go and save a lane, or do you just focus on your lane and then when the opportunity finally comes, go?
I mean, to be fair, I feel like Sumail should have been bottom, countering the gank from the Void Spirit. He just had no TP, so maybe we missed that part where he had to waste his TP, and maybe OG had that info. This is the coil. He might actually die here. It's going to be really close.
Yeah, the stun follow-up and the illusory orb, they do finally get a kill onto Amar, so that's exactly what they wanted with that follow-up. But while that's going on, there's a wall up top, and Misha gets the kill into mind control. Back over bottom, they're looking over. Miracle, he's sitting a little bit low, but he is tethered up. BZM, we'll see if he can get anything out of it, or if he gets played with the help of Sumail. They've got the silence with the Waning Rift, and the damage for the Astral Step. One more right click. Sumail wants a high 5, but instead, they'll just give him another 1+ on that death score.
Very clutch from Sumail, kind of predicting where BZM was going to try to escape from, and very big kills. I mean, these are 2 kills on 2 cores, you know, and this is the Leshrac being really happy, catching up with XP also. Big kills, big XP.
Yeah, that's exactly, like, it bumps up their game. They were struggling a little bit on the side lane. Now you get a little bit of that pressure alleviated. Miracle hits level 7, and Sumail's still down here. They kind of want to just shut down Amar, and that's almost a double-edged sword. How much can you focus on this bottom lane and just allow the rest of the lanes to kind of have their free will?
Even Misha rotated here too, so, you know, OG is trying to this is like the pressure building up on the bottom lane, and both teams are kind of looking at it, and rightly so. So I like that the OG supports are trying to stop that.
Now the Hex, but the relocate out. Easy doesn't. Miracle and GH do escape.
Pretty early relocate. You know, Sumail is looking at it. He has a foil. He's going to check the room before. He might be in trouble here.
Dream Coil comes out into BZM, and let's see if he can get out of this one when the Dream Coil finishes, but he never gets that chance. So Sumail with another kill. He's on a killing spree.
Plus an Arcane Rune for him top. So, you know, Sumail is starting to top off here.
Yeah.
Something to watch out for.
Very timid in the first 5-6 minutes or so, but Sumail found that opportunity, and he's rolled with it. They're starting to snowball, which could be dangerous for OG. They bring over Yuragi, and maybe looking to get Miracle with the help of Taiga.
Yeah, he might die. He's gonna die.
Hex, Earth Spike should follow it up, and that's an easy kill. Miracle kind of in his own area of the map at the moment, and that's what gets him caught. He's on the side of the OG, and Sumail gets another one. He's now dominating, taking out Misha.
GH is actually pretty big in this game. I mean, I feel like he's having a pretty good game. He's pretty happy. He's gonna have mech only like 500 gold, so, you know, 1 or more 2 pushes, then he gets the mech. And I mean, this game for Nigma, it's all about this IO plus Leshrac. It's really all about how they're gonna hit their timing, how they're gonna be able to kind of accelerate their game, because this is where the damage is gonna come from for Nigma, and they're gonna need a lot of damage to take down, you know, OG's course.
Yeah, they've done a good job of getting, say, BZM as well as Amar in some time. But now, look at this. Nyx Assassin in trouble to follow up Hex. BZM, he gets a kill, finally gets himself, you know, a +1 there, as he's had a couple of deaths in between. So they do get that kill on the Nyx. You're starting to see this lone druid really start to get involved too, and he had a great lane. Like, the net worth split between him and anybody else is pretty significant this early on into the game. Pressure was on the rest.
He's living the life, and this is when the map might look a little bit weird for OG, because, you know, MC just took top tower, you know, quietly, and you see Miracle kind of staying here. He's not maximizing his own farm. He decides he'd rather defend his own safe lane tower and keep the map kind of disadvantages for OG, which I think is the best way to play the game at this very moment. this is like the mark of the most experienced players that are gonna, you know, like kind of favor pressure over greediness, which at this level is definitely the way to go. MC here, he might die. Yeah, not much damage. He's fucked.
Yeah, they're going up towards top. They want to get this kill on the mind control while Misha goes down. So Sumail with another one. Then Taiga falls to Miracle. So you've got the relocate that was over there towards top to get that follow-up. Ends up being a trade there, a kill over bottom. So a couple of kills across the map with the side of Nigma. And well, that's just an impale. There's nothing that's going to happen. I don't think all of a sudden you've got a Nyx assassin that's going to hit enough or hard enough to kill off that Timber.
I'm quite worried about Misha. He is level 4 on Hench, so he is extremely under-leveled right now, and he's playing versus this lineup that's just gonna eat him alive all the time, right? The Leshrax, the Darkseer, the Fox. Fox having such a good game too. He basically solo kills him with 2 spells right now, so you know, OG is gonna play 4 versus 5 for a while, it feels like. You know, this Hench is gonna be a non-factor, unfortunately for him.
Does Hench really even feel like he fits in at some point? Like, the Untouchable really, you've got to attract on the other side. Is it really enough for Misha to make anything happen?
He had a better game, maybe, but given the state of his game, I think it's gonna be quite painful.
It'll TP in.
And here we're gonna get to see, you know, how much damage do they have? You know, can they cut through the Timber yet or not? Obviously, the damage is gonna keep scaling. You know, let's try getting items, the Yash, the Kayas, and these kind of items are gonna help that. But this is probably the moment where Timber is kind of hard to touch. You know, the bracers, the magic wand, the hood. And this is when maybe Nigma is going to look to kind of, you know, accelerate their farm rather than trying to pressure, because it might be a little bit too early. Mind Control is also going for the Vessel, which I think is a really, really smart buy, and it's going to help them kind of kill the Timber, which is going to be the meat shield that they're going to have to get through if they want to truly pressure OG.
You can get through that big metal body that Amar's got on this Timber, then do the rest. Right now, they do get that mid-tier 1, and that's usually a telltale sign of something going right for you when you get the top and mid. They find themselves the Impale, they'll follow it up with the stun coming out from Miracle. Soaking up a lot of that damage. Spike Carapace, that other side of Taiga, they throw the Chakra Mound, they've got the Dissimilate as BZM goes behind them and gets the kill to Kuroki, so they end up losing the Nyx Assassin. The Dream Coil, it's placed down onto a couple, but it doesn't really matter. That's more an escape cord than anything.
And you see it, right? It's too early still to kill the Timber. They don't have the Vessel. Leshrax, you know, probably wants a little bit more levels. Maybe he wants the Kaya Sange. I'm not really sure which items are gonna allow them to cut through the Timber. I think that's maybe a little bit of the worrying part for Nigma right now. But you know, I'm sure they have a very solid plan, and we're gonna be eventually we're gonna see it.
That wasn't exactly a heavy commitment either. You know, they kind of dip their toe into the water. They see, all right, we don't have the damage. We end up losing Kuroki. That's fine. That Dream Coil makes sure it protects us on the way out. We don't lose big numbers, because if that fight does go the other way and OG starts to take 2, 3, 4 heroes, they can snowball out of control too, and all of a sudden turn this around where Nigma kind of missed this timing that they want.
Especially with the build that Delonge is going for. He's going for Deso, Mask of Madness, so you know, he's like an objective taker. Like, cars are gonna melt. Roche can melt also, so definitely every pickup that OG will get, like in the, you know, in the upcoming minutes, is gonna always transition into an objective.
So we'll see which team strikes next and who's gonna end up getting that first Roche. Spike Carapace was there for a moment. I have loved to see these players use this Wild Wing. There are some players who are just so good at like those movements. I like, especially over in Triangle when they're able to get up and down cliffs or move heroes around, move themselves around. Like, it really is just 4-staff light.
Okay, he might live here. Yeah.
Stun, not in time.
Very good use of the Hex.
Yep.
Nice CP out. I mean, I would say that, you know, Nigma's answer to... Is he gonna try it? That's Carapace. Nigma's answer to Timber, you can already kind of... Oh, this might be dangerous, but okay, I mean, there's no follow-up. He's just trying to protect the Nyx. And it's worth it, you know, it's worth it. I was just gonna say that Nigma's answer to Timber, you kind of feel already. It's quite... You know, it's not often that you see Amar being solo in the network as Timber, because he usually, you know, rocking #1 spot, he's taking the enemy's jungle already. He feels scared compared to other games, right? Where like he feels like he can actually die pretty easily.
And he still showed how tanky he was. Like, if he's got that feeling that I can still die pretty quickly, but I was tanky in that last fight. So, certainly something that Nigma's doing right to make him feel that way and maybe use that to go towards the rest, right? Because Mind Control, he does have the Spirit Vessel, doesn't have any charges. So you got to fill it up somehow and make sure then you can kind of use it, because right now it's wasted net worth.
There's a lot of eggs in the laundry basket right now for OG. It feels like, you know, both Void Spirit and Super are not scaling as well as they would want to. No TP this time for Taiga.
Yeah, but they've got the help with the Aether Remnant. So he's able to survive once again. He is really playing on the edge.
He's deciding to kind of, you know, get info instead of farming the blink, which I could agree with. I feel like it's quite scary when you think about it, because we don't probably feel it in the game, but you know, it's nighttime, you don't have the best vision. There's a Nyx that's always lurking, the threat of the relocate, the threat of the coil, and these cores, they want a little bit more time. You know, the Timber, he wants to farm up, the Laundry wants that too. That's why you see the supports of OG trying to get info. Of course, they put themselves at risk, and it looks quite, you know, like quite scary for them, but they're kind of trying to tank the bullet that they don't want their core to.
And then on top of that, every time you as a support get that information and don't die, it just feels like you can keep it that much closer, right? Like you're not giving anything away for this. It's free info.
Yeah, and this is probably, you know, one of the big core specs. Yeah, the big buck already.
BZM maybe in a little bit of trouble. They've got themselves the Yules, but there's the follow-up stun coming out from Kuroki. So Sumail will get yet another kill, and he's unstoppable. BZM, he's middle of the pack right now, but I guess the silver lining is still, like you said, the eggs in the basket of Lone Druid.
I mean, he decided to go for the Yules. I get it. Probably quite important versus the puck and that amount of damage. The problem is that it kind of sets up for the Nyx and the Lash follow-up stun, especially when he's Call of Guard. I mean, that's going to be
Misha, double stun and an easy kill, just like you said. Miracle getting another one. And Nigma are finding their moments. They're finding their pickoffs. Is this enough at the moment? Do they need to start taking objectives, take some towers with these openings that they're making for themselves?
I think they're happy scaling. Honestly, I don't think they need to pressure themselves into anything. Like, this puck is super happy, this Slash is super happy. You know, I mean, they definitely hit a really strong timing around. They have the Vessel, he doesn't have charges yet, but on the puck, you know, the map is kind of theirs to pressure. It's more on OG's side, you know, what are they waiting for? What are the timings, the items that they're looking at that they want to fight back? I feel like the Laundry is very, very strong. You know, he has like an overwhelming amount of physical damage. He can take down the Leshrac in one stun right now, so maybe we'll see it happen soon. I feel like both teams right now are looking at, you know, kind of speeding up the pace at which they're playing.
See Kuroki get spotted by the Sentry Ward, but he picked up enough information in that little walk over, and all the heroes of OG were pretty much there.
I think that's so aggressive. How they position themselves around the map. Like you see, you know, Mind Control's pushing up the top lane constantly with shields. They're already taking enemy triangle and ancient. Like the map, it feels really small for OG already. It feels like they're kind of only safe in their own jungle, even though the game is not that one-sided.
No,
but it's just Nigma's decision making on how well, like where they position themselves on the map. They put so much pressure on their opponent.
Step away. Not gonna jaunt over, but they're still sending Miracle forward.
My sprites are with us.
Geared up on the run, Chakra hitting on a Kuroki. Moves him into the air, and they've got themselves the Aether Remnant. They've dropped down the Dream Coil, the stun comes through, that's gonna let into Amar, but they've got the finger to get the kill on a Kuroki, so they'll at least get themselves one on the side of OG. They stun on Miracle, and look at the damage just come out onto this Leshrac. Sumail's not gonna be next yet, it's actually Taiga. He tries to leave, but the Aether Remnant's down, and so is the wall, but the wall is not something that OG are running into at this moment. They take out 3 on the side of Nigma.
Amazing. That was super clutch, and then they get the free plus. I mean, they could even go Roche here. I want to praise the Deso, you know, purchase on the Laundry. It did everything. You saw how quickly the Slash died. It's crazy. He got one-shotted by the Laundry, and he was being tethered by a Wisp, right? Yeah. It was still not enough. Fortunately, the Wisp had to use the mech for the Nyx, meaning they didn't get the double mech value on the Lash, which could have turned things with the the vacuum from the Darkseer coming in. So, you know, maybe a little bit of a mistake from GH to try to save the Nyx. Yeah, they're gonna try to stop that. They need to stop that Roche, it feels. They might be able to be honest. OG is running low on resources.
Should have left that Roche pretty low.
Now the question is, can Nigma take it for themselves? It could be possible. They do have a lot of magic damage, and they're gonna try to. This is pretty clutch. Now it's a big moment for OG. You can test it. It's quite risky. You don't have the Laundry ulti. It looks like they're gonna let it go. I think it's the right call, but it cost them a lot. It feels bad.
That's just into the hands of Miracle now. And potentially, like you were saying, there's some aggression from Nigma. If they can get this, get the Dream Coil, there's the vacuum. It's only Misha so far. The Astral Step, they've got the taunt. It's onto the Leshrac. They're going to look to take this Aegis out, but with that tether, with that heal, he survives. Kuroki hit by the Chakram for a second, geared up once again, and just that burst of damage coming out from OG once again. It's, wow. Runs into the Aether Remnant. Now they catch BZM, but the damage is just not enough yet. There's an Earth Spike out of the Leshrac, but they still have GH. He's surviving for now. The Chakram's there. It pops the Aegis. They've dropped on the wall. Amar timber chaining across gets the kill on a GH, so now you no longer have the tether option. They've got the silence onto Misha. He's trying to survive, and Sumail ends up dead. Amar doing so much damage in this fight, especially with the help of Taiga. These Earth Spikes have been on the money, and they're still looking to get a kill here onto this Darkseer. Mind Control will run, but Amar can timber chain and chase.
That's kind of the problem. He's gonna get him through so much damage. That's the Kaya Sange, you know, coming in clutch for you. The level 15 plus the Kaya Sange.
But in Miracle here, they've got 3 heroes, and the Bear looking to do the damage, and he's gone.
Holy man, that damage.
Whoa.
It is so much damage between the Flasher, Mom, and the Deso. I mean, you saw like the beginning of the fight, it's all about the tether mech. Like, Nigma really need to try to force themselves and discipline themselves to play around it, because else right now, the Leshrac, he doesn't stand a chance. He just dies right away. And you see the strength of Laundry then. What is their play really? They're trying to turn on the Bear. They tried at some point, but they just don't have enough damage to kill the Bear. It feels bad, you know, you're throwing your spells on the Bear and then you're dying process, and then he just resummons it. So they need to find like a better way to take these fights.
So far, you know, it feels like OG and the 5v5s have been doing well. You get a kill on a Taiga, but Nigma kind of need more. A lot of these kills have been on supports.
It's gonna be about how Miracle is gonna itemize. He decided to go for the plate mail, which I mean I can only agree with. He's definitely dying to like an overwhelming amount of physical damage. So that's gonna help. You know, the analysts, like the panel, they talked about the axe build on Leshrac. It could be something you could look at. It's gonna prevent the Bear from hitting. That could be interesting. But you know, now we're getting into the territory where Timber and Void Spirit, they're picking up some steam. They're gonna start becoming a problem too and dishing out the damage.
Miracle might be in trouble again. They land the Aether Remnant. A couple impetus shots coming his way. They use the Yules on a GH. The right click damage coming up from the Bear once again, but he lands the stun. It's onto the Bear. That might save his life. Impetus damage, it tickles. It doesn't do a lot. So Miracle is able to fall back, and he's also got reinforcements if they want to just maybe clear up some vision and go. By doing so, it does show that they're all there under that ward. So OG, they're not letting this opportunity go. They want to take it to Nigma. That's exactly what they're going to do by getting this kill on a Kuroki, and the rest of the team will fall back towards the tier 2 and into the trees.
It is so much damage. It's quite crazy. Okay, Nigma smoked up. They want to contest that. Without the Nyx, this could really catch OG by surprise. You don't expect an aggressive day 4 versus 5. Let's see what they do with that. It looks like they want to bait behind Miracle. It's a really hard move to predict right now. You know, usually most teams will kind of take a defensive position after losing a hero and giving up the ground.
It's getting just the Lion. Would that be worth it? If they can get Yuragi, this would be worth it.
He has no ulti.
Got the Dream Coil. They're not following this up just yet, but there's the BKB as well as the vacuum in the wall. That's coming through, but here comes Amar. Amar trying to make something happen. That will go over to Sumail. He's going to go into the phase shift as well as the illusory or back towards Yuragi, but BZM's trying to stay on the tail of this pop. The damage just not enough to get the kill on Yuragi. Just yet they get the kill on Miracle and take out Mind Control. Sumail falls too. 3 heroes gone. Change trying to TP, but there's the impetus last shot. 4 heroes out of the side of Nigma. They took that fight and they paid for it deeply.
Such an amazing side steps, you know, like jukes from Yuragi. That was awesome. And also the patience. You know, he got the shard on the Laundred with the spells. So, you know, the Spirit Vessel was applied to him. And Laundred is all about the healing mechanism. He got healed so much by his Bear. So Spirit Vessel is really instrumental to try to take him down and make sure he doesn't survive through your spells and your right clicks. Then he just presses Savage Roar and dispels him Spirit Vessel and he just lives.
Yeah, he sidestepped in this like little area by the stairs, and he's avoiding like not only Sumail but multiple other heroes coming at him from Nigma, and they just picked him off one by one. Like OG has just played around this pressure really well.
I mean, Yuragi is playing so well, honestly. Like this is like such a flawless game for him so far. You know, he's 5-0 and 11. He's joined fights really early. He really helped stabilize the game when the Timber was suffering a little bit. So did the Void Spirit. So pretty impressive showing for him so far.
Yeah, Deathless and doing damage. Not exactly too far out of the woods just yet. It's a 4K lead, still pretty close, but Nigma have kind of missed that timing that they initially wanted, and now they've kind of got to get into the next one, right? They're going to try and do so, but with the fight up top, they may not have the chance. Sumail, he's hexed up. ZF comes in, has to send the damage on it to Sumail, and he just can't survive. Here they go with the finger on a miracle, and they'll wipe the floor with all strike too. They want to go and get everybody. They look towards GH, they look towards Kuroki with the BKB pop by mind control. They've got the bandage, so they keep mind control close. And GH, well, Amar's going to keep him even closer and get the kill and take out mind control. It is just, when it rains, it pours, because it is pouring bodies as they hit the floor for Nigma.
I mean, it seems like they cannot deal with the laundry whatsoever.
At all.
Just too much. Like the roars, the savage roars, constantly, kind of splitting this lineup apart. This lineup, they want to run at you with, full. And also, like, the MS, it gets amplified. Like, I mean, it turns against you, right? If you're really fast here and you get roared, suddenly you're so far from the fight, it takes so long for you to get back in the fight. So the less track, it breaks the tether, even the Darkseer that is surged, half of the time. Obviously, if the puck ever gets feared, then he just dies. This laundry thing, you see how potent it is and how much impact it had. It feels like they just can't fight into it.
And like you said, he got involved early. And it was when he came over mid for that fight, and he's been with the team pretty much ever since.
Yeah.
Or close enough where he can react.
He's been involved in almost 20 kills, over 26. He's been more involved than the Void Spirit has been solo mid. He's the one with the most kill participation from position 1, which is honestly not frequent at all. Like you rarely see that. So I mean, it worked really well. And now we're at a stage where it's just really hard for Nigma because none of their heroes can really frontline. Sure, the Darkseer does with BKB, but how much does it do realistically? The Leshak is a little bit too weak, as we've seen. He just dies when he runs in. So it's a tough game to play now. They do have tools to play the map. They can like try to shove the waves, the side lanes, play with the relocate and the threat of things. But I think like 5-on-5 right now is just not realistic for Nigma. They just don't have the firepower.
Which could put them down in an even bigger hill, right? Like, if you can't fight 5v5, you've got Roche potentially coming up soon, and that's a big objective to get. But if you don't have the confidence to play 5v5, how do you even contest that?
I think you have to give it away. It's too scary right now, Or, I mean, the one thing that they have going for them maybe is the Darkseer. It's always a hero that can turn games, especially when you have AoE follow-up, like a really clutch vacuum, a 3-man impale, these kind of things. And then maybe you can... this moment he has to die before he gets to click ulti. Like, that is so important. And they have tools, they have stuns, they have silences. I mean, he has BKB now on the bear, not on the main hero. As he ultis already preemptively. I mean, that's the problem too, right? Nondrid, on level 20, he hits this huge bar spike, minus 50 seconds on true form. So you can't really play as much around his ulti. It feels like it's always up. And, this is danger zone. But, during the little downtime that it's going to be, whether it is 10 or 15 seconds, you have to try to kill him, burst him before he gets his ulti off. A little bit like an Alchemist in a way, but even more intense.
I was going to say it was kind of similar to what we were seeing with the Tempest double on the Arc Warden.
Exactly. Nigma, they need to abuse the downtimes. They have to seize the moment and be like, all right, ulti down, we need to burst him before. And he's actually going to die really quickly. I mean, the main hero, when he's not in true form, he has 0 stats item. He will die. They have enough damage to take.
And I think maybe one of the benefits here for Nigma is the fact that Roche is 2 minutes away, so maybe gives them some time to find an arsenal to go after that Roche if they feel the need to contest it. Like you said, it's going to be difficult. They may just concede it, but at the moment, they want to fight.
Yeah, Miracle got his DPP, so maybe they feel a little bit better about running in. He's not going to get roared or anything like that. They're low ground though, so it's a bit scary.
Yeah, smoke on smoke, and while BZM, while his smoke gets broken, kind of understands, hey, there's a Nyx assassin here. The rest of the team, though, it still looks like they even want to make that jump, kind of getting an understanding of where Nigma must be, right?
That was really close. BZM, you can feel like he really wants to fight. Like OG right now, I mean, both teams kind of want to fight. Well,
there it is. Blink Hex with the Earth Spike, drain the mana, kill the finger, and you've got to chalk him with the Aether Remnant. BZM, he's now on a killing spree. It's that Blink Dagger is so crucial to these Lions, and you see why. Instant Hex. It is so strong.
Yeah, that's the Hex against Nyx, right? It's like one of the best way to deal with them because you start with an Impale, he might get the Carapace off, and all of a sudden the fight is just different. You Hex him, it's just safe. Nyx will die against these Hex. That's why you're always gonna see a team prioritize the Shadow Shaman, the Lion, these kind of heroes against Nyx.
They're waiting to see if Roche is up, but still has 50 seconds to go. While this is going on, Sumail trying to get into the E-Blade. Kind of far from that. And then Miracle, he wants that shard, which in a Roche fight, in that scenario, could be pretty important.
It would really be, and you know, MC is looking to buy a blink. He's got it now if he wants to, and I feel like this could be maybe one of the saving graces for Nigma if they really, you know, I mean, they're a team, they're really used to playing with each other's. I'm sure if they're a team that can, you know, pull off a crazy wombo combo with the vacuum.
Sumail getting caught. I don't know if he survives this one. They've got the silence to pop the link in, so go to the phase shift and he'll lose your orb out.
Just the
For an
fresh
Earth
axe.
Spike, but
Void Spirit, you know, he tried to surprise him with it. Unfortunately, not enough damage. Pretty tanky buck with the Linkens. But yeah, I mean, right now, Nigma, they have to be looking for Darkseer combos. I think that's the only way where a fight can look good for them. Or they try to delay the game, as Sumail was trying to do. Push out the side lanes, force OG to split up. Obviously, it is scary. They have a pretty good catch in the Lion and the Void Spirit. But, you know, it is what it is. That is what the state of the game dictates for now.
while they're going bottom, while they're trying to get that kill on Sumail, like, they're still farming the enemy's triangle. They're still farming so much of the map. Like, they're just not giving anything to Nigma.
They're getting Roche, they're farming top, they're defending bottom. It's I mean, it's a bad situation for Nigma to be in. At the same time, I mean, I was gonna say they have a pretty good high ground defense, which I mean they do. You know, the Darkseer is always crazy high ground defense, but yet again, it's gonna be this fear, just like taking down towers. Despair, like it's. I don't even know if they can poke the bear well enough. Because he's gonna demolish the towers. Like, it's gonna be really quick.
1,000 health. Deso ready to go. The Basher, Mask of Madness, like he's hitting fast, has the extra buff up with that Hyperstone. I don't know how you kill the bear, and even if you do, like you said, they've been using so many spells on the bear. Then what? He's still
Then troubles. A lot of troubles.
That's where Amar just kind of peeks his head in. He's like, all right, I'm ready.
Had so much space, right, in the fight. Like you always see him kind of coming later and
Almost
get
higher
like
than Miracle.
He just cleans up, right? Yeah.
It's crazy how, like, this is exactly what the panel said. Even when you shut down Amar, did you do it?
No, I mean he's had so much impact right now. Like he's done so much damage in these fights. He's scaling really well. You know, you see it with the net worth. Like he now has a TCB, so he really doesn't care about anything that they could throw at him. And it's gonna keep getting worse, right? I mean, this Timber, it keeps scaling the damage. It keeps scaling up. I mean, I like how Nigma's trying to pressure. I mean, this is good, you know, good pick-off.
Yeah.
What they're trying to do right now is they're trying to force OG away from their own triangle, like Nigma's triangle, or, you know, force OG away from pushing their base, which is what they should be doing. Right now, OG, they want to create a situation where they're gonna knock at the door of Nigma's base and start, you know, looking at the bear taking down the towers. So Nigma, they need to delay that for as long as possible.
Interesting move here by Sumail. He did have Croaky nearby, but, you know, he's still a slippy hero. They didn't have the Lion there, obviously because he's dead at the moment, so they don't have that instant Hex to work off of.
He's hard to catch. Already hard to catch. Now with the Lincolns on top of it too, almost impossible. I think he got the shot also on Miracle. So the high ground is maybe that's the way to deal with the bear. Actually, if you re-stun the ground and then the bear, you don't really want to use BKB to just like, you know,
hit the base,
get extra hits on the base. It feels bad. So maybe that's one way that they have to delay the game, having the puck cutting the waves everywhere, having the Leshrac stun plus the Darkseer try to delay the high ground push as much as they can, and you know, OG, they've had enough. They want to end the game.
Going into the true form and looking to go, and there you found the Aether now on a Miracle. They're going to try and make the jump. They've got the silence out of a bunch with the vacuum as well as the wall. Normal punch hits on a Taiga, but it's not going to be enough as the Aeon just pops. And then finally, after it goes away, they get the kill with the line, so they take him out of the fight. The Hex is gone. They'll look over at Amar. Amar taking a lot of damage. Silence up, stunned up, killed off. Down he goes. Miracle's got himself a double kill. Now looking over the Aegis on BZM. The follow-up stun. Can they go for the rest after this? A stun over a stun. Of course, they've gotten the lockdown. They get BZM. They'll look for more. Ragi looking to TP out. Misha not so fortunate. At least not yet. He'll try to TP, and the stun from Miracle not in time. But that is a successful high ground defense. They don't even lose the tier 3 there for Nigma.
It's more than successful. That was amazing for Nigma. I think they could not expect better. This is really huge. It's a big spike, and they have a lot of pushing power themselves now with the Leshrac and the overcharge and the edict. They can threaten, you know, I don't know if they're going to be able to force buybacks, but they can definitely look at getting the tier 2 mid and establish vision for themselves. And you see how scary the high ground is, you know. It's maybe hard to grasp, how much it did, but these Leshrac stuns, you know, like chain stunning all these heroes. I think Amar, he, you know, between the Nyx Carapace and the Leshrac, the Split Earth, he didn't even get to press BKB. I don't think he even had like 0.1 second to press it.
No.
To get chain stunned completely. And I think like that's maybe a mistake from OG to, because Leshrac, he has to prepare these stuns in advance, right? He has to land couple and they need to keep, you know, proccing. Since OG did not take the tier 2 bottom, they can't just decide to be like, alright, you know, just like Venoward, you set up the mid defense, we're just going to bottom. But since the tier 2 is still up, they kind of have to bang their head against the wall and fight into the Split Earth that were preset. I think they probably need to look at pushing another lane, basically, when Nigma is so ready.
And Nigma now very ready. They were just down 10k. Where'd it go? Like it's gone in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Over the Nyx Assassin, Spike Carapace, but they've got the follow-up here with the stun from this Lion. Roki, though, he gets away for a second until the finger comes. The stun hits on Omar, but they've got no follow-up damage for that.
That's a gem on the ground, so it's a pretty big deal.
That'll mean Kuroki is way more visible and way less effective, that's for sure. Which is big, because we've seen the areas of the map that Kuroki's kind of putting himself in. You know, for the longest time when OG were looking to push, he was behind them, maybe looking for an opportunity to snipe a courier that's got an item on him, maybe, you know, disrupt them from backing off. They play aggressive on Nigma, and they've still got 20 seconds without this Nyx Assassin, but now they also have to make sure that they can get the gem out of the hands of BZM.
And we're gonna get into territory where Puck is gonna start becoming a menace. I feel like, you know, late game Puck can get really scary. He starts dishing out a lot of damage with the items that he's getting. I mean, you know, he went for defensive item, the Linkens, but now he got the E-Blade, much more damage. Probably gonna be looking at, you know, upgrading the Witchblade, or maybe getting, you know, Dagons or whatever he fancies. Even the Stormcrafter that he has, that's also extra damage coming up. So, you know, Leshrac, Puck, they're starting to pick up some steam. You know, whether it's going to be enough to take down the OG course, I still don't know, but it, you know, it's good news for Nigma fans. Like, it's getting better and better.
Yeah, and he's going to hit that level 25 too, and how important that Dream Coil talent could be for them.
It will be. It will be big. It will be very big. You know, I think even the next, I mean, Kuroki is rocking 3k gold. He could decide to make the fight even more obnoxious, you know, like Nyx Axe, for instance, on top of all this. It's gonna get scary for OG to push into all of that.
You're gonna have to hope that maybe Nigma, when they get those items, find themselves a little bit too far from base and kill them.
Could be right now. Could be right now. You know, OG smoking. They seem to know where Nigma's standing. Nothing set up already. Might be a big jump.
They're gonna try and go. They've got the Astro 7 as well as the Silence coming in thanks to the Ags of this Void Spirit. Jumping and going for GH. That's where the focus is. And immediately, without that IO, you need to try and run. But Miracle gets taken by the stun. A big vacuum wall coming through. They've taken the kill to Miracle, but is the damage there for Nigma to try and salvage this? They've already lost 3 heroes. They're gonna go for more. They'll look and find Sumail, but he goes to the phase shift. Still surviving. The sun hits on a Tiger. They find out we get a kill here onto the Lion. Panther Remnant doesn't land. Miracle thinking, are they gonna keep coming? And they'll back off into the wall. But Miracle, he's going in. He wants to fight. So does this bear, though. The sun comes out of the lone druid. Miracle's just dead. He just bought back 105 seconds on the sidelines. They do get themselves the Darkseer 5 control as well, but he's got buyback, and that's going to be used immediately. Infinite shots through Kuroki. He's dying. He's gone. No buyback as well. GH back into the fight, but just as quickly as you got back, you're gone again. They did exactly what we just talked about. They found themselves too far out of the base. A high ground defense that looks so successful. Well, why leave it?
I mean, this bear's damage, I can't believe it's doing so much damage. I mean, I understand he's flat, but this is like, it's too much. He's just cutting through the Leshrac in 1 second. It's a Leshrac feather that has Shivas also.
Miracle did jump right onto the bear that second time too, and you just see how strong he can be. They're going to try and defend here, but I mean, Taiga's finger power is at 7, so he's just doing so much damage. They get another kill on a mind control, and this is looking like it's going to be all they rode for Nigma in this first game. OG just got to wait for this clip to go. They'll go after the throne, and that is it. It is OG taking game 1. It looked like it slipped away for a second, but hey, you know, why not make it close for just a moment? Give Nigma some hope, so they leave the base. It was all planned.
I mean, I gotta give it to Nigma too. Like, they really tried to go for the winning place, which I think is the mark of a great team. They did not just like sit back and kind of tank the loss. And accept the fact that the game was hard. these are winning plays, and when they don't pay off, it looked a bit awkward. You could think to yourself, why don't they sit in base? But if they sit in base, they play against the third Roche, you know, maybe an Axe coming up. It's just going to keep getting harder, right? So they're taking the shot at trying to win the game, which is commendable.
You've seen some teams in the past, you know, maybe they sit back a little bit too far. They just, like you said, they give up. They kind of maybe think the mentality is like, what do we do next game? Nigma, they're a pro team. They tried to go for it, and it just hit them really hard. And OG were ready for that. Their reads in this game felt really confident. Like they knew what Nigma wanted, and they caught him. They smoked. They felt Nigma were out of the base, and they went for it. And I mean, there was a bunch of fights where it looked like OG were really going to just steamroll the game. Nigma were never going to have a chance, but they found their ways to kind of sneak a little bit back in. And I mean, this is right here. It felt like every fight for a little while was OG 4 kills at least.
Yeah, I mean, we're back to the